Chapter 4. What Gus Finds About the Stranger.
Before we begin, you must have seen the movies of Harry Potter series. In one of the movies, the main character, Harry, finds an invisibility cloak. He makes good use of the cloak on certain occasions. If you ever get such an invisibility cloak, what would you feel? How would you like to use it and on what occasions?
This story is an excerpt from the novel The Invisible Man, written by H.G. Wells. In this story, a strange man takes rooms at the Coach and Horses Inn in the village of Epping in England. His entire face, except his pink nose, is hidden under layers of bandages and big goggles. As he goes to great lengths to avoid talking to anyone, the villagers grow curious about his identity. Some think that he is a criminal hiding from the law, while others think that he is a harmless, crazy man. The village doctor, Gus, is determined to find out more about the stranger and tries to talk to him. He, however, leaves hurriedly and runs straight to Mr. Bunting, the vicar of the village. "Am I mad, Bunting?" Gus began abruptly as he entered the shabby little study. "Do I look like an insane person?" "What happened?" said the vicar. "That man at the inn?" "Well..."
Gus told him about his meeting with the stranger.
"I went in," he gasped, "and told him I'd heard he was interested in scientific things. I asked him if he was researching on anything. He said he was. He was reading a very valuable prescription when a draught of air lifted the paper and it landed in the fireplace. Before he could do anything, swish, it was whisked up the chimney. Just at that point..."
To illustrate his story, out came his arm.
"Well, said Bunting. "No hand, just an empty sleeve, I tell you. I could see right down it to the elbow. There was a glimmer of light shining through a tear of the cloth. Good gracious," I said. Then he stopped. He stared at me through those black goggles of his, and then at his sleeve. Then? That's all. He never said a word, just glared and put his sleeve back in his pocket quickly."
"I was saying," said he, "that there was the prescription burning."
"Wasn't I?" "How can you move an empty sleeve like that?" I asked. "Empty sleeve?" "Yes," I said, "an empty sleeve." "It's an empty sleeve, is it? You saw it was an empty sleeve?" He stood up right away. I stood up too. He came towards me in 3 very slow steps and stood quite close. I stood still, counting minutes. Then very quietly, he pulled his sleeve out of his pocket again and raised his arm towards me as if he would show it to me again. He did it very, very slowly. I looked at it. "Well," I said, clearing my throat, "there's nothing in it." I was beginning to feel frightened. I could see right down his sleeve. He extended it straight towards me, slowly, slowly, just like that, until the cuff was 6 inches from my face.
"It is strange to see an empty sleeve come at you like that."
And then, well, something exactly like a finger and thumb, it felt, nipped my nose. Bunting began to laugh. "There was nothing there," said Gus, almost shrieking. "You may laugh at me, but I tell you I was shocked. I hit his cuff hard and turned around and ran out of the room." Gus stopped. There was no mistaking his panic.
He turned round in a helpless way.
"When I hit his cuff," continued Gus, "I tell you, it felt exactly like hitting an arm. And there wasn't an arm. There wasn't even a ghost of an arm." Mr. Bunting thought it over. He looked at Gus. "It's a most remarkable story," he said. He looked very wise and serious indeed. "It is really," said Mr. Bunting with great emphasis, "a most remarkable story.